If your blood runs orange and blue, this is the pod for you. You're listening to Orange and Blue Bloods, hosted by EJ Stewart and Tommy Beer. Let's get to it, New York.
It should be a very fascinating thing to watch, and we'll stay in the Western Conference a little bit here because that's where the Knicks will be. So the Kings will be the first of a 4-game West Coast swing. After the Kings game, the Knicks will travel to Los Angeles to play a back-to-back against the Clippers and Lakers. And once again, schedule not really working out well for the Knicks. 2 games back-to-back on Saturday and Sunday. Clippers Saturday, Lakers Sunday. That will be a national TV game, I believe, on Sunday. Then they will finish the trip with a game against Portland next Tuesday before they head back home. So a lot of games in this West Coast trip. It's not that they space this out very much. What will be your expectations for the Knicks coming out of this? I mean, you look at this 4-game stretch as a whole. I mean, do you feel good with 2-2? Is that like the what you're asking for here? Should you ask for 3 out of 4? Like what are you looking at here?
Listen, the way the Knicks have been playing, you don't want to settle because, again, they've been great for the better part of 3 months now. Obviously, we had the hiccup Tuesday night. But, again, the rest schedule, the rest factor is a major thing here. They're going to play an already exhausted, weary team is going to play 3 games in 4 nights on the West Coast against 3 good teams. The Kings playing at a very high level. We know what the Clippers are capable when they're locked in. And then they got the Lakers who are playing their best basketball this season by far. Over the last couple of weeks, they will be without LeBron James. But again, they look like they finally hit their stride. They made some really good acquisitions at the trade deadline. So these are really challenging. I mean, I think you'd probably have to sign up for 2-2 right now if you could get it. They'll be favored in that Portland game. Portland's having another down year, but that's by no means, a walk in the park. Anytime you got Dame, assuming he suits up, Jeremy Grant and the rest of those guys out in Portland, that the Knicks will want to win that game for Josh Hart. But yeah, those are challenging, tough games. That the Knicks, again, when you ratchet expectations, you don't want to go 1-3 now. Again, you don't want to, and obviously you don't want to, lose, go over the West Coast swing and come back to New York on a 5-game losing streak. So you have to start to put together wins. You want to hold off the Nets. You want to stay in that 4-5 slot. These are pressure packed, intense games. So we'll see how the Knicks respond. Fortunately for New York, the schedule gets a lot easier once they get back from the West Coast. So this is kind of their last extended road trip, their last West Coast road trip. But they're kind of the toughest stretch of a 4-game stretch for the rest of the season. So for that reason, you expect them to really focus in, and maybe in retrospect, the loss of the Hornets will kind of, keep them hyper focused and get them back, as you mentioned, humble them a little bit, and get them back on task, as they head out for an important 4-game swing.
Yeah, these are big games here. I mean, you mentioned a lot of storylines. I mean, we already talked about the Kings game. You talk about the Clippers game, a team that is thinks they're still championship contenders. But I mean, if you watch the Clippers, which I've watched them a lot recently because they've been on national TV a lot, something just seems off. Like I don't know, like the Russell Westbrook move has not worked out at all. It's a weird thing where sometimes it doesn't necessarily always seem like his fault, but it just wherever he goes, it just doesn't seem to work out. They were playing great before they traded for him.
And then now the Lakers are playing their best since they traded him.
Right, since they traded him. Exactly. So it just is, and it's every place he's been essentially, at least the last couple of stops. So like that hasn't worked out. So that'll be kind of interesting to get an up close look at how that whole situation is going down. I saw the owner was already touting the new arena, so maybe they're looking ahead past the season already. And then you got that Lakers team, like you said, they won't have LeBron, but AD was a monster performance in that game on Tuesday night. He had 20 rebounds in that one, busted his nose. He's gonna have to go see a surgeon because it looked like he broke his nose in 5 different places. Finished that game. He's starting to maybe see the playoffs kind of in the purview, and he's like, all right, I'm just gonna just push to the limit because he's starting to now take this team by storm, especially with LeBron now sidelined. So those are 2 interesting games. And then talk about Portland. We kind of forget about the great Cam Reddish, the Knicks legend, Cam Reddish, who's been playing in Portland. There's still a segment of Knicks fans that are following the play of Cam Reddish out for the Portland Trailblazers. And he's actually played okay. He's had some really good games for Portland. He's had some standout games. He didn't necessarily play great in their last game, a win over Detroit. But Cam Reddish has some big games. And God forbid the Knicks lose that game and Cam Reddish goes for 25. The storylines and the headlines and the tweets and the videos you're gonna see, it's gonna be something. So this is a very interesting kind of collection of games the Knicks have headed out west. I agree. I think you'll take 2 out of 2, 2 out of 4 in this one. But I don't think 3. I don't think 3 out of 4 is out of the question still.
No.
Just because of how well this team has played. I mean, this team, as you said, has been dominant for really the last 2-3 months of the season, and this is still arguably the best road team in the NBA. The Knicks, right there with the Bucks, with some of the best road records in the league. So they seem to relish these kind of road trips. They seem to bond together. They seem to be really focused. So when their backs against the wall in terms of the scheduling, the Knicks sometimes kind of show themselves and play their best ball, which is kind of what happened recently. Like a lot of these games they had a couple back-to-backs in this little 9-game win streak that they were able to still win. So should be a fun collection of games nonetheless.
Yeah, 20-12. Knicks on the road this year, tied with the Celtics and the Bucks for the best road record in the NBA. I mean, that says a lot. So that's obviously something working in their favor.